People are living in poverty where they have to choose between food or a packet of pads, electricity or tampons. It's just a very dire situation where really no one should be living.
Hey, welcome to News Can Use. I'm your host, Red Mvmnt, in for BG. Today, we're talking about period poverty. Did you know that about 1 in 3 women struggle to afford pads and tampons despite needing them every month? Well, today I'm speaking with 2 young people in Toronto who are doing huge things to make period products more accessible. Before we get into all that, I do need you to do a couple of things though, like subscribing to this channel, tapping that notification bell, and making sure you're following us across all of our social media. Those details are in the description below. According to Plan International Canada, about 63% of Canadian women, girls, and other menstruating people report having to miss an activity often because they couldn't access menstrual products. Well, it's estimated that the average Canadian menstruator spends up to $6,000 on pads and tampons in their lifetime. $6,000, people. Today, I'm speaking with Stephen and Keyna, 2 Toronto students who are working to ensure that period products are available for everybody, just like toilet paper. Let's bring them in. Keyna, Stephen, welcome to News Can Use. So you guys are doing a lot of work focused on menstrual equality and period poverty. Let's talk a little bit about that. So Keyna, let's start with you. What is period poverty?
Period poverty is essentially the restricted access to period products such as pads, tampons. People are living in poverty where they have to choose between food or a packet of pads, electricity or tampons. It's just a very dire situation where really no one should be living.
Right here in Canada, period poverty is a really big problem. What kind of numbers of menstruating people are we seeing suffering with this?
I have a few statistics from pre-COVID, so I'm sure these have just definitely gotten worse over the pandemic. But Plan International Canada has had several gender studies over the past few years where they reveal that 33% of all Canadian women have kind of experience period poverty, where they have struggled to afford period products for themselves and or their dependents. So that could be their kids, their sisters that they're babysitting, they're living with if they don't have a mother, people just like that. And then 64% of women have had to withdraw from social activities, miss school or work because of their period. You
guys are both working to combat period poverty and menstrual equity in the Greater Toronto Area, but separately. So Keyna, let's start with you. You're the founder of Red Mvmnt. What are you guys focusing on?
We're actually focusing on a different approach to period poverty solution, which is called sustainable menstrual equity. It is a mouthful, unfortunately. We focus on education, service, as well as advocacy, all with a special focus on reusable period products. Okay. I actually ran a drive in 2020 when the pandemic was kind of in its prime, and we were seeing such a high increase in the number of people requesting period products from food banks and shelters and etc. We collected 10,000 period products in a month. Wow. We had immense support. But after donating those products to these places that I mentioned, I felt that, hey, this is a very short-term solution. Those are all disposable products.
Well, because you can go through 10 to 30, at least, tampons or pads in a period, right?
Yeah, so I thought that, hey, I'm kind of cheating them. I'm only providing them support for one cycle, and then for the next one, they're abandoned again. Wow. And then I took some time to research the products available. I came across menstrual cups, cloth pads, and I found out that they last up to 5 years. And every time we donate those products, we always host a workshop where we educate them on how to use them safely.
That's awesome.
We teach them folds for menstrual cups, insertion and removal. So when they go in first time, we understand it can be a little bit of an intimidating experience.
Right?
So we just kind of show them how it works, and then hopefully they feel a little safer, and then they're good for 5 years.
So Stephen, you're working more on a government level of trying to advocate for menstrual equity.
Yeah, so over the last year, the Toronto U Cabinet has been working on an initiative aimed at promoting menstrual equity and tackling period poverty. And so last year we were advocating for the province to provide free menstrual products in Ontario elementary and secondary schools, and thankfully we were successful in our advocacy on that.
That's
and
awesome.
Now this year we are going forward to call on the government to require universities and colleges to provide free menstrual products campus-wide. And so, recently we released a joint statement where all of Ontario's 44 university and college student unions basically sending that clear message to the government and to individual universities and colleges that, our students, your students want you to provide free menstrual products campus-wide.
Both of these are incredible initiatives, but I'm very curious. There's a lot of stigma around periods, around menstruating. Have you guys faced any pushback, either of you?
Not necessarily, like even like from the government, it's been very receptive. I mean, clearly they were receptive since they did it. They heeded our calls the first time around, and I'm very confident that this second time around they're going to heed our calls.
I love that because it's important, right? When you're talking about half the population once a month, like, what about you? Have you?
I'm honestly so glad you've had such a positive experience. I wish I could say the same.
Okay.
I have had a very mixed approach. Honestly, I was surprised that most women were the ones who were against what I'm proposing, which had me stunned because I thought they would be the ones who would understand more than non-menstruators or typically men, but they weren't. Men have been much more supportive than the women I have spoken to. Some women in some positions of power have second-guessed the expense of these products. And then I counter them that, hey, you're already mandating the provision of toilet paper or soap or just
So you're
towels.
putting those things on a level, like toilet paper should be provided just like a pad or a tampon.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I guess a pad or a tampon should be provided just like toilet paper.
Issues that we hear is that, oh, but people might abuse the menstrual products. People might take more than they need. I mean, I don't believe in take more than you need. Obviously, if you take a lot, you clearly need all of them. You're gonna use it. And I always use that same example is that you don't see people abusing toilet paper or abusing soap. So it's just like we really need to shift our mindsets to realize that menstrual products are equivalent to toilet paper in respects to how they are needed, and probably menstrual products probably even needed more depending on the situation. So I think that shift in the mindset of individuals is very important.
Yeah, and I hear a lot, being a woman, being a menstruator myself, I hear that what if you're in a situation where it's a very important meeting, a very important game if you're into sports, and then you suddenly get your period 3 days in advance, 5 days in advance, when you normally don't, and then you're stuck without a pad.
Which is
or a
not
tampon.
uncommon, right?
It is absolutely not. I started my period today in the morning, and then I was just erratic the entire day.
But it throws off not only your day, it throws off your week, right?
Yeah,
I completely agree.
And then what I hear from people who are not supporting is, well, then you should be prepared. You should take pads and tampons with you. And I'm like, do you say that to people who are facing issues with their washroom schedule? You don't ask people to carry on toilet papers with, like, rolls of toilet paper with them. How can you expect menstruators to carry pads and tampons with them at all times? It's just, that's not how it works.
Well, I hope that both of you have great success in your endeavors, and we're really excited to not only see where both of these endeavors go, but to have you guys back to talk about them in the future as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel, and listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.